Well, woo. This is Baruch here. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and I decided that I'm going to move away from that great description that he's making of the entrance of the Malkim that are coming from Ima with Abba inside of her into Zeir Anpin and their distribution. This is an important idea. It has to do with the topic, which is really the topic of the Nasira, because we're trying to understand Mordechai. Mordechai was a man who was from the Shevet Binyamin. He was the head of that Shevet. He was one of the Sanhedrin. He's a tremendous, tremendous man. So we're trying to understand them. Well, how do you understand them? And well, how does it go together if you're trying to put this Mordechai, this man who is Mordechai, together with the secrets of Purim? That's what we're trying to understand. So now we're going to say like this. He says, Yisboyer b'yeser say, so we're going to take more time here. And we're going to make more of a preparation and to understand Godel HaNation, Asa the Yisod, tremendous power of this miracle that happened for the Jews. V'lama na'asas dainkel yedei Mordechai. And who is this Mordechai? And why did it have to be done by him? V'zeh inyan Mordechai v'ha'raso. Now notice that he says right away that Mordechai had a certain ha'ara. Now here he means we don't really have, we did hear a definition of Mordechai in a previous year, but let's go on. V'harasa. Da ki hine bizman adormita de Zeir Anpin. And this is what we're trying to say, is that the building up of Malchus and ultimately the bringing the Mashiach really depends on a previous state of darkness. So that we have a chance that Ima, or the higher worlds, have a chance to be able to build up the Nukva Zeir Anpin so that she could become his mate. So bizman hadormita de Zeir Anpin lo bilvad yotze na mochim. It's not just the mochim de Zeir Anpin mitzad nai the Ima. In other words, the mochim that came into Zeir Anpin from the Netzach Hod Yesod of Ima leave. V'niknase benok Rachel. And those aspects that come from Ima, they go directly, they go on top of the head of Zeir Anpin, and then they go into the Nukva Zeir Anpin instead of Zeir Anpin to be distributed to the Nukva, because of different order. And this comes into her when they are still in a position of back-to-back, sharing a back, one back between the two of them. Now, in order for her to become independent, she needs a back of her own. That back will be made out of Gevuros, and the back of of Adam, or her, the Zeir Anpin, will be made out of Chasadim. So you have Chasadim and Gevuros, that's how they split. So, but anyway, that's another type. Elo af gam b'mochin de benai de Abba, not just the mochin of the Nai of Ima leave, but also the mochin of the Naya the Abba, because normally they travel together. So, v'yiven Hashem Elokim es hatzala, v'da Abba v'ima. So he said, v'yiven Hashem Elokim. The two of them together built the tzala, which we're thinking means a rib. That's Abba and Ima. They created the kids. Now, who's the kids? Let's look a little bit over here. We'll start with number Kaf Bet in the Tivik Avonos. Mordechai v'haraso. So he says, now we're just beginning the Levire. Inyan Mordechai v'haraso nimshachach yado, and the glow or the radiance that was extended down to the Jewish people through him. So I had a little interruption there, so I'm going to start over here on number Kaf Bet. Once again, we're reading the Shar Kavanos, this is the Inyan of Purim, and we're working with the Tiv. The Tiv is going to help us out to understand this Shar Kavanos, and it's a V'zecha v'Inyan Mordechai v'Harasa. Mordechai has an aura about him. V'ha'ara she'nimshika al yado. Now, I don't know if ha'ara means aura, really means glow or radiance. Da. He says, Ki hine bizman hadormita de Zeir Anpin. Zeir Anpin falls into a deep sleep. Lo bilvad yotze mamocha de Zeir Anpin mitzad nai de ima b'niknasa b'nuk rachel b'hiyosa ach ba'ach ala af gam hamochim de b'nai de abba. Now, I'll translate this. I think the Tiv is going to give us a nice translation. Hinas he zer anpin yesh bo shtei bechinus mochim. Zer anpin has two different types of mochim. Mochin the Abba, Raboim Beloboshim Toch Levushi Nai the Abba. So Abba has Mochin, the Mochin of Abba come into the head of Zer Anpin, and they're covered over by a Levush, which is the Nai of Abba. Now understand this is like a drop with a drop inside of it. The drop on the outside is the Nai of Abba. The drop on the inside is going to be what's going to become the godless of Zer Anpin, his Mochin. O mochin de ima muluvashim toch levushi nai the ima, so the mochin of ima are clothed inside of her levushim as well. Vishnechem leslavshim beso zer anpin, and both of them go into the head of zer anpin. Of zman dormita. Now let's look and see what happens at the time of the dormita. Now we're talking about Purim now, because remember we had said that Haman and his wife and all of these characters that he had around him, they didn't understand Kedusha at all. But they knew it was there, and they knew that they wanted whatever power it had in it, because that's the way they looked at the world. And they knew that the Dormita was coming, and this was a chance for them to steal the power. That's what I think is basic idea. So what happens then is that the Mochin, just like when we're sleeping, our Mochin leave us. Both of the Mochin leave. That is the Moach of Abba and the Moach of Ima. Heim the Abba, but heim the Ima. And that both of them, instead of being inside of Zer Anpin who's sleeping, they come out of Zer Anpin and go inside of the Nukva Zer Anpin. Besod Mochim Ba'od Shehi Omed Sedayim Ach Ba'ach Im Zer Anpin. Now let's understand how this works, because in order for Yichud to take place, according to the Zohar, we understand a lot of things from this in the Halachos, is that it needs to be face to face. It needs to be, that is called intimacy. Right now they're back to back. How do you make a yichud that way? So therefore, we had to build her up. And that's what we're talking about. Amodas Adayim Ach Ba'ach, she's still Ach Ba'ach, but now the Mochin are coming into her. And then what does he say? Besod v'yiva and Hashem Elokim B'Tzatzela. That's the last part we saw, Do Abba V'Ima. Oh, let's translate it. So this thing we're talking about, we're inside of the Nukva. Comes in the Mochin of Abba of the Mochin the Ima, both of these sets of Mochin. Remember I said that they ride together. So in order to be able to build her up, Maromas B'Pansa B'Brias Chava, so there's a reference here to the creation of Chava. Haromez al Benias Hanuk B'Shas Dormita, which is really talking about the building of Malchus at the time of the Dormita. Remember, she's not independent. She's stuck on the back with Zer Anpin. They're sharing a back together. But when you bring these Mochin into Ima, into the Nukva, V'yivan Hashem Elokim B'Tzatzela, Hashem builds up the Tzela. V'amra B'Zohar HaKodesh, the Zohar says, Do Abba V'Ima. Abba V'Ima. Shem Havaya Meromas al Abba. So the name Havaya, so it says Havaya Elokim. So the Havaya refers to Abba. B'Shem Elokim, Meromas al Ima is really referring to Ima. B'Shnechem B'Bainim as Atzela, and the two of them together, they're able to build up the Tzela, this Tzela which is the Nuk, Shehanuk, Shenek Nasim B'Socha, B'Bechinas Mochin that are now in the Nuk, the aspect of Mochin. Okay, we're going to hold right there, and that's going to be the shir here. I think this is shir number 8 in the Rav on Purim.